We can really do whatever you want with this. They wanted a more simple design. Like Tonya said earlier, less is usually more. But in some cases, it makes more sense to, have some stripes, have something that stands out a little bit more, catches the eye. Really, it just depends on who you're trying to target. So it is made for, especially the service industry.
Yeah.
So people like HVAC clients, landscapers, really that's been the key market for us in using these. But, it's made for sweating, being outside, getting washed multiple times. What's nice about these is the stuff is actually dyed into the shirt as opposed to being printed on top. So you don't have to worry about peeling.
So it's cracking. It's not
going to crack.
Any of that.
It's not going to peel. It's not going to fade as fast, after maybe 5 or 6 years. But at that point, you should be getting new shirts anyways.
I love that.
For your brand.
Grab some coffee, a Mountain Dew, maybe both. A storm is brewing. The Brainstorm. Welcome to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Hey, welcome to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. I'm going to be your host today. Mike is actually out playing golf and still looking for that golf ball to hit in the woods last week. Actually, I'm just kidding because I played golf with Mike a couple of times and I think that he probably threw his clubs in the woods instead of the ball. Nonetheless, I am here joined by some pretty exciting teammates of mine working over at Brand Buzz. I got Tonya Conway and Bailey White. Guys, thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So Bailey, I've known Bailey a long time. Bailey is actually Mike's son. And so I've known Bailey since he was about 1 year old. Which was at least a couple of weeks ago, Bailey.
Yeah.
So I've known Bailey a long time. I've also known Tonya for quite some time. Tonya has been in this same community as I have. She was here originally. I'm a transport, right? So I kind of came into this community. Tonya, this is a really good place to kind of live and grow up and raise a family.
Absolutely. I've been here since 1978 in this area and fortunate enough for my children to go through the same schools I went through. So it is an amazing community.
Yeah. And Tonya has got some really, really good children, good boys. I've been able to spend a little bit of time with them and I'm super excited to see where they're going to go in life. So that's pretty cool. Man, I'm super excited today because, one of the most common uses for a business is branding and what you do with that brand, from your promo to your apparel to signage to all types of stuff. And Tonya, I know that you've been in and around the advertising business a long time. So from branding to print to promo to apparel, so on and so forth. Let's talk, Tonya, let's you and I start off the show talking specifically about the infrastructure, the foundation of a marketing strategy is certainly your brand, your logo. And I know a lot of people kind of cross those things up, like they call your logo your brand and your brand your logo. And those are two different things. And this isn't going to be a branding show. We're going to really dive deep into how you use it. But talk to me, Tonya, specifically about the graphic, the logo itself. When you're starting to create one or think through one, what's that thought process like? What are you trying to accomplish with a good logo?
Absolutely. The very most important thing is to start off, make sure you're working with somebody who understands the importance of how that brand is created, how that logo is created. Because you're not just printing it on print collateral. You're not going to be just putting it on apparel. These days, it has to be simple enough to go on print, apparel, digital, any kind of marketing. It has to be signage,
right. Vehicle wraps.
It has to be
banner stands, trade show booths,
backdrops, stickers, decals, everything. So it has to be simple yet diverse enough to get your client's attention.
Right.
You have to think, do you want 95 colors in your logo?
Right.
Because when you go to embroider it, it creates challenges. So the best strategy is starting from the base and creating that logo the right way.
When you say that from a logo perspective today, that abstracts are really good, because like if you're going to, let's say you're a construction company, right? Having a full house as your logo. It's like, how do you embroider that? Where how do you stitch that, right? So don't you think like abstracts are much, much better?
Absolutely. It needs to, again, I cannot stress the word simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, the abstract, a nice outline. Really, less is more a lot of times when you're talking about
Clean.
your clean, crisp.
Yeah.
You want it to be clean enough and yet pop when you're using it.
Yeah, that's where I was going with next. I'm glad that you said that, because it still has to pop. It can't be so clean that you're looking at it like, what is that? Like, is that just a line or a swoosh? I mean, what is that? I mean, if you look at the Nike swoosh, talking about a swoosh, you're looking at the Nike swoosh and you think what is that, a check mark, right? We know it as the Nike swoosh because it's branded in our mind. That's where you start to differentiate between the word logo and branding.
Correct.
So the swoosh is branded in our mind. It kind of started off as almost a campaign, and it's turned into everything. Just do it, the swoosh, the word Nike. It had all of that. Now it's just the swoosh. But a lot of people don't even realize that the word Nike isn't even on there anymore.
Correct.
And that's because we have been branded in our mind to know what we're getting, what's the quality and everything. And we know exactly who the manufacturer is and so on and so forth when we see the swoosh itself.
Correct.
And so that is a good brand. I know that a lot of people ask me what makes a really, really good brand. And I say usually what would happen is the difference between a good brand and a great brand is a good brand is when you see it, you know what it is and you know who it is and you know what they do. That's a really good brand. When you see it, when you see the logo, then you know that stuff. But I draw a line there and I say what a great brand is when you need that product or service, you automatically think of that organization.
Absolutely.
And that's a major difference, because I can see it and I can say, okay, I know what that is and I like it, right? But when I need it, you want your brand to be the one that immediately pops out. So it has to pop, going back to your words.
Absolutely. It has to pop. And like I said, the first part of the strategy is the simplification of the look. And the next part is the branding.
Right.
Is carrying it out to make people recognize it.
And so it has to pop graphically.
Correct.
It also has to resonate with the target market. Like, they have to understand it. They have to be able to understand it. So, you start to incorporate things like taglines or you incorporate something that can resonate with them, that empathetically they can feel it.
Absolutely.
They can figure that out. I like to start this type of conversation with talking about the logo, because every bit of the other conversation that we're going to have today is going to revolve around that look, that logo, that tagline, that message, if you will, right?
That's right.
And so that's the reason why I really wanted to start there. The next thing I really wanted to kind of jump into, Tonya, is print. People talk about print being dead. That's been the rumor for quite some time, but print really isn't dead, is it, Tonya?
It is absolutely not dead.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, right now, it's really more important than ever. You just have to be sure you're using it and your strategy is used in the right way.
That's some words of wisdom right there. So there is so much going on. When I say before, a couple of 3-4 years ago, print really kind of gave the perception of dying, like direct mail. And the reason is because years and years ago, even let's look at a decade ago, Tonya, our mailboxes were full of direct mail.
True.
A decade ago, they were full of direct mail. And then what happened is it kind of evolved to where direct mail wasn't existing at all, because everything was digital. Everything moved digital. When it comes to direct mail specifically, right, we used to go to our mailbox and it was full of direct mail. Now, what's so cool is we have the ability to target specific neighborhoods, specific demographics. We literally can just put a direct mail in their box specifically to the people we want to reach. That's
Absolutely.
Super cool.
Absolutely.
Give me some suggestions or recommendations on how to conceptualize the type of print that an organization may or may not need.
Well, for example, if you're in the service industry and there's an area that you have really grown or that you want to grow, we can target it. We can target, like you said, the income level. We can target do they have children? If you treat yards for insects, we can look up, do they have children who are going to be outside? So we can really not just print your message, we can print your message and use the strategy to get it in the right person's hands.
Yeah, so you don't have to mail out 50,000 pieces. You need to mail out 10,000 pieces if we're touching the 10,000 people that organization needs to touch. Is that where you're saying?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We hand select where your message goes. Again, so you're not wasting your collateral, you're not wasting your postage. And we make sure, again, the strategy is used to the right target and we get your message across.
Now, I'm going to throw, this particular show isn't really having anything to do with digital, but I'm going to throw a little digital component in there just because, I like to think overall strategy, as you guys know. When Tonya is putting together this type of direct mail campaign to hit your specific target market, what makes it a good comprehensive campaign and even have more return on your investment is when you can pair that with a digital campaign and hit those same people, because we can then create some social media ads and some search ads and Google ads. And even today, you get all the way down into digital TV like OTT, and we can make sure that direct mail is hitting the exact same mailbox as your OTT television commercial as in your digital campaign. Now, all of a sudden, you got 3 or 4 or 5 touches in one touch. Now, that makes a great, great marketing campaign.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Bailey, I want to come over to you and talk a little bit about apparel. I really think, and I know, Tonya, you believe in this, we're all sitting here wearing apparel right now, branded apparel. Mm-hmm. I really think that that's probably might be one of the most important pieces.
Absolutely.
And is it not the easiest piece to accomplish?
For sure. From a cost standpoint, apparel, it really isn't that expensive. You can go from anywhere from ordering 5 shirts, or you can order as many as 1,000. Really, it just depends on what your business needs at the time. But it's a really good, if we want to talk about return on interest, you're literally a moving billboard whenever you are wearing a branded shirt. You can buy a billboard on a street and it's just sitting still. It's going to get so many passes per day. But whenever you and your entire team are always out and about moving around with that brand on your shirt, the touches are, you can't even count them.
I love that. And Bailey, one of the things that I really like about what you just said is you have to look at whatever your business needs. And right. So I know that you have businesses from the, medical industry right. all the way to the landscape industry, and everything in between. And the reason why I put those at opposite ends, I'm not saying that one is a lesser or more type of industry, more important industry. What I'm saying is inside an air controlled environment, and cleanly environment, all the way to an outdoor climate controlled industry. Right. And so the needs are so much different, right? And then you have organizations that not just for them, but maybe giveaways. Maybe they want to give it away, and then the people they're giving it away from are doing completely different things than what they would be doing, right? And so I think you brought some stuff with us today. So let's start off with the landscaping piece. I know Bailey has got a really cool shirt that would be from an outside perspective that you want a good brand. Talk to me, Bailey, about that.
Yeah, so this is what they call a dye sublimated shirt. And basically what it allows you to do is, we like to tell our customers, it is a blank canvas. You can put whatever you want on this shirt. If you want a logo on the top part of the sleeve, maybe an American flag. If you are a former veteran, you can put that there. If you want a slogan or a tagline, you can put that on the sleeve. And you can really this is a pretty basic all black with just the logo and some information on the back, but we can really do whatever you want with this. They wanted a more simple design. Like Tonya said earlier, less is usually more. But in some cases, it makes more sense to, have some stripes, have something that stands out a little bit more, catches the eye. Really, it just depends on who you're trying to target.
Now, Tonya, with a dye sublimation, and Bailey, with a dye sublimation shirt like that, what's so different than people are thinking, oh, well, I could do that to a regular shirt. But with a dye sublimation, you literally have a print area that's the entire shirt. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And so, and it's doesn't matter about colors, right? It doesn't matter how many colors. It doesn't matter where it's at on the shirt. Or you can put it under the arm, in the armpit if you want, right?
Right.
I love that. And that's also the material of that is like a wicking type of sweat material.
Right. So it is made for especially the service industry.
Yeah.
So people like HVAC clients, landscapers, really that's been the key market for us in using these. But, you know, it's made for sweating, being outside, getting washed multiple times. What's nice about these is the stuff is actually dyed into the shirt as opposed to being printed on top. So you don't have to worry about peeling.
So it's cracking. It's not
going to
doing
crack.
any of that.
It's not going to peel. It's not going to fade as fast, you know, after maybe 5 or 6 years. But at that point, you should be getting new shirts anyways.
I love that.
For your brand.
It almost has the feel, I'm an outdoorsman, so I like going to the beach and to the pool and to boating and all that type of stuff. It almost has a little bit of a feel or a look of like a fishing shirt or a swim shirt, if you will, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And that so folks that are just listening to us from an audible perspective, like on our podcast or our radio show, they can't see what we're holding up. If you're watching a video on social media or on our YouTube channel, then you can actually see it. So for folks who can't see it, this particular one, you can get them a short sleeve, right?
Right.
Or
You can
long
get them
sleeve.
short sleeve, long sleeve. You can get hoodies.
Okay, wow.
As well. So,
Okay.
And you can even
I
get
didn't even know that.
Yeah. If you want to go the extra mile, you can even get pants.
Okay, wow. I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah.
So,
They're very bright.
very bright. Yeah.
For sure.
So that's really cool. So that's awesome. You can have unlimited print area and really things of that nature. Now then, for people like me, I wear this particular hat because I know we got a bunch of them all the time. We have a big beach straw hat. I love that hat, man. It's so
awesome.
cool.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So that hat is great for the pool, the beach, boating, yard work, just all kinds of things. It's what what I really like about it. I like it that a lot of bucket hats, Tonya, the bill, the wind blows it and it pops up, that type of stuff. Right. This one don't do that.
Yeah,
No,
this one's
that's
pretty
true.
sturdy.
Yeah.
This one has a structured space over here, so that way it doesn't
In the front.
come off.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's almost it's pretty much one size fits all too.
Yeah, pretty much. Most hats in general are going to be one size fits all, especially when you start getting into
The banded
straw
hats,
hats and
yeah,
whatnot,
straw
just
hats.
with the bands and whatnot. But what I really like about these is they're just really unique, honestly. Especially whenever you add these rubber patches, it really, these are waterproof. So if it falls in the water, it's not going to mess up like leather would or have to dry out or anything like that. But these are great for the beach, especially if you're wanting to do something. Maybe it's your first time doing some promotional items and you're wanting something to start with. For the summer, this would be a great piece to start with.
Now, and then, we have a lot of, brands apparel brands come in all types of price points, right? And then so, Tonya, obviously you've been in this business a long time. Give me some like brand names, Tonya, that are the difference between like a lesser cost associated. I don't want to say lower end because the quality of all of these apparel brands are really, really good. But you have a lesser associated cost brands to your much more expensive brands. Like, just give me some examples of like brands and apparel brands that would cost less versus cost more.
We sell a large amount of Port Authority.
Okay. Yep.
And
I've
that
had
is
some
gonna-
of those shirts. Those are great.
They are
apparel
great.
shirts.
They are great apparel. Very, very affordable. That's probably
And durable, too, right?
Very durable.
Yeah.
Very durable. And you can print them. You can embroider them.
Sport Tech is
Sport
another
Tech.
brand.
Okay.
Correct.
Sports Tech. Okay.
Sport Tech.
Now, how about your upper brands? Give me some of those.
So really, you have a broad range. You can go with a lot of name brand stuff like Southern Tide,
Okay.
Peter Millar.
Yeah.
Vineyard
Love Peter
Vines,
Millar because of just the fit.
FootJoy.
I'm a huge FootJoy fan because I'm a golfer, first of all. So historically, FootJoy you see in country clubs, but we can get those at corporate prices versus the $120
$20 retail.
country club price, right? And we could put your brand on it instead of the local golf course brand on it. But what I like about FootJoy is it seems to be cut a little bit larger.
Right.
Because when you're golfing, you're swinging, and so it comes untucked.
Correct.
So a little bit larger. The sleeves are a little bit longer, so I feel like they're a dressier shirt,
Sure.
and they hold tucked in really, really well. Love that. Now, Bailey, you brought a FootJoy pullover.
I did.
Talk to us about how FootJoy and other better, I guess a little bit more expensive brands are starting to place their logo so you could place your logo.
Right. So for the people who are just listening to us, I'll try and explain this to the best I can. But basically, what a lot of these name brands are doing are they're starting to move where their logo's at on the shirt. Like, for instance, they moved it on the front zipper of this pullover, and then they also have it positioned on the back. So that way, businesses like ourselves, like yourself, can put your logo on the front and yet still have
A name brand.
Right, a
product.
name brand shirt that people will recognize. And at the end of the day, that you want people to go, oh, this is, a good company that they take care of their employees. They are spending money and trying to make efforts to look good for the community, as opposed to what I'm going to call cheaping out. And you know how your first touch is everything when it comes to business, and you would not ever want somebody to look at you and go, yeah, those guys look too cheap to do business with.
I agree. But one thing's for sure, almost all businesses use some type of swag. So from pins, Tonya, to koozies, to I think you have a really cool kind of a trending type of thing, which I'm now starting to see them in all types of like outdoor stores, things of that nature. Talk to me about that cup or mug, if you will.
This is the new Silly Pint. And for those of you that cannot view this, this is, if you can imagine the silly bracelet, the silicone bracelet.
Okay, yep, silicone type.
So the cup is made out of that material. It is excellent because we're moving more towards outdoor events right now.
Yep.
So people are hosting wine events. And this cup is amazing because if you drop it, it's not going to shatter.
Yep.
It is a great, affordable takeaway item. You're seeing them a lot in travel areas, like you said, Myrtle Beach. You'll see them with Myrtle Beach, Greenville. They're just, it's the latest craze in drinkware.
Perfect for pool. No, you don't want glassware out of pool.
Absolutely.
One mistake ruins a day for everybody.
Everybody,
right?
that's right.
You don't want them at the beach. You don't want them on your boat. You don't. I mean, let's just. And here's some question: are they dishwasher safe?
Absolutely.
I love that, right? Because that was the first question I had. Is this rubber cup dishwasher safe? And it is, because I have a ton of them at the house now, and we put them in the dishwasher. No problems whatsoever. I love them. I absolutely love them. And another thing too is this particular one. If you're seeing it, show the camera to that particular one. So this is a 2-color logo. You could get these things in tie-dye cups.
Sure.
You can get them in almost any color.
We have multiple colors and listen,
sizes too, right? You have the big ones, you have the shorter ones.
Yes, and one thing I do encourage: step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Do the wild tie-dye. Do the print, because the whole purpose of advertising is bringing attention to your brand.
Yeah.
So let the cut background be the fun part to add a little bit of diversified, with your logo.
Yeah, I like it. So you got all types of swag, right?
All types.
Right.
All
If I
types of
can
swag.
pitch in for a second.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite thing about these is you can fold it up and put it in your pocket. It makes it so easy to carry, especially when you're going places like on the boat and whatnot, as opposed to having to take up an entire hand.
A tumbler or something.
Right, because usually you're carrying, you got your bag, especially if you're with your family. You got your kids' stuff, you got your wife's stuff, you've got your stuff. You run out of hands if you got a hold of glass, and it just makes it that much easier.
Now the trend, it seems to be trending that way, because when people see them, and very few people have them yet, but when people see them, they want them.
Yes.
But the trend used to be the Yeti style. What's that material? I don't know.
The metal
type
tumbler.
Yeah, and so that was the style Yeti made that, and we can do those too. We still do a ton of those, but you have those all the way to the Tervis type of, Tervis, the brand name Tervis kind of made that material kind of famous, if you will. But we have anywhere from the metal all the way to the insulated, the Tervis type of insulated, all the way to the silly and so on and so forth. Every time I say silly, I think people think that I'm like joking, but I'm like
Yes.
silly as in SILI, right?
That's
Silicone. And so that stuff is really, really cool. But the cool thing about it is I know that we send out a lot of email communication. So if you want to get on email communication with us to find out what's on sale, things go on sale, like these cool pens that I love, has what's the tip called?
Stylus.
Stylus, that's right. You have the stylus on one end, really cool, really nice pen, right? These things go on sale all the time.
For sure.
Koozies go on sale, cups go on sale, apparel goes on sale. If you want to know what's happening at that moment in time, what's the sale product, and we're talking about good sales. Like you could buy thousands of products for, 50 cents on the dollar in some cases.
Absolutely.
So I know that that's really, really good. So when we going through things like products and swag, we've talked about direct mail, we talked about print, we talked about apparel, we talked about swag. I mean, we could sit here and talk about swag for hours because there's so many different things, but I think the majority of our listeners and viewers get it and understand it. Tonya, talk to me a little bit about vehicle wraps, like the importance of vehicle wraps. Bailey, you mentioned a minute ago, you put a shirt on, right? You can buy a billboard, you can put a shirt on, and you're everywhere. Tonya, isn't it really kind of a very similar, but even more impactful, branding for your vehicle wrap?
Absolutely. And for me, I travel. I'm seeing 15 to 20 clients a day sometimes. So again, while a billboard is a wonderful avenue, you have to be on that road to see that message. However, on my car, as I drive around town, everybody that I pass, unfortunately, everybody in traffic with me,
Right.
they're getting my message. That's priceless. I know the roads are very crowded around here. So they have 10 to 15 seconds at red lights to see our logo, to see our message. And comparing it to the price of a billboard, a car wrap's going to roughly cost what you would spend for a 30 to 60 day campaign on a billboard.
Yeah.
And they'll last for 4 years.
Yeah.
So very good return on investment.
I love vehicle wraps.
Yes.
I mean, if you can have vehicle wraps, you can use it for advertising purposes for your business, but you might be a municipal. You might be, look at the transportation for city transportation, like free public transportation. They use it and people buy advertising on there, right?
Brilliant.
That shows you the power of vehicle wraps because those buses and all are all wrapped and people are buying those types of advertising campaigns all the time. Those things work.
Absolutely.
Vehicle wraps absolutely work. And there is a major difference between a good design vehicle wrap and just a vehicle wrap. There's a major difference because if it's designed right, then people can instantly go back to the branding conversation we were having.
That's right.
They can instantly see the difference. It resonates, the message pops, what it is, what type of services you offer. It has to be right. And the contact information. I've literally seen vehicle wraps that I don't know what their website is. I don't know how to get in touch with them.
I don't know what they do.
I don't even know what they do.
Correct.
And so that's crazy. And you have to make sure that message is definitely there. So I have a quick question for both of you. Give me an example. We'll start with you, Bailey, if you will. Give me an example of what just give me one example of what one of the coolest things that you've been able to produce in the most recent time.
Okay. Yeah. So for instance, I have a customer who's in the health industry and they're nurses and doctors specifically. And they wanted to do some shirts with pictures of the doctors and nurses printed on the back.
Oh, that is cool.
Right. They also wanted to add in a poster.
So
with
recognition.
Right.
I love that.
Right. And so you want to talk about appreciation, the importance of getting your employees shirts.
Was that a dye sublimated?
This particular one was called DTG, which is direct to garment, which is just another way of printing.
Okay.
But basically what they wanted to do was just show appreciation to all the nurses and doctors, especially with COVID going on. Out of everybody, I would say they deserve it for sure the most.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And what they were going to do is they were going to put up a poster and hang it in the hospital. So that way, whenever the kids are walking by and stuff, they have this silly graphic of all the nurses and doctors photoshopped on a picture.
I love it.
And their faces are on it. And just something that people can look at and go, okay, they have a little bit of fun too. It's not just a serious workplace where it's just strictly business. There are people here.
Oh yeah,
And,
I love
I think
that.
that's important.
That's fantastic.
To communicate to the community.
Tonya, do you have an example you want to share?
One thing I participate a lot in is we have a lot of nonprofits that I get involved helping.
Okay, yep.
And fundraisers. A lot of things we'll do a T-shirt and let businesses advertise on the back. It's a win-win for everybody. The money
Good
goes
thought.
to a good cause.
So, I see those a lot in like runs or walks or
Runs
those
or
types
walks.
of things. That's awesome. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
And we're currently setting up stores for some of the local high schools that we can carry swag at a higher price, that we go ahead and collect the money and we turn around and donate it back to the schools.
Easy
That
way to
has been
way to
huge.
bring funds in.
And so it's nice to kind of help give back to those people who are working in our community.
No doubt. I agree. Those are awesome ideas. I love those. We haven't really talked about trade shows because no one's going to places physically. And even before that, and I know both of you guys will remember this, even before that, back when trade shows were very popular and happening all the time, there was people that were deciding not to participate in trade shows anymore. Mm-hmm. And the most common complaint was, well, I don't ever get anything from it. And my answer was because you went with the wrong strategy.
That's right.
Correct.
People, when you go to trade shows, people want to go to a trade show. They want to land a job. Like let's say I'm a roofing company. I go to a trade show. I wanted to get 12 roofing jobs from that trade show. I just think that's the wrong strategy. Of course you want to get a job from a trade show or a home show or whatever it is that you go, of course. But what you really want to do is data mine. Mm-hmm. You want to get people that are interested, that would fit your ideal client, your buyer persona, and you want to put them in your database, your CRM, so you can communicate, because they might not be ready for a roof right now. Or they might not be ready for, if you're B2B, they might not be ready for, to buy your product from a manufacturer perspective right now. But if they're your ideal persona, if they're your ideal client, then maybe 6 months from now they are.
Right. And that's when planting that seed is especially important.
Right.
That's why whenever you give your customer, hey, here's a notebook with our logo on it, hopefully they use it every day. And then when that time comes that, oh, shoot, there's a leak in my roof.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, the logo that I see the most in is the most frequent is going to be the one that I'm going to go with.
So when I do put you into my drip campaign and I do email you and you're walking around with my koozie in your hand, then you're like, oh, I know exactly. I remember them, right?
And so instant correlation.
Right. And so it just gives another touch. It gives a friendly, easy way to go get it. Right. But Tonya, talk to me about, so for those that are viewing on our set here, on our show, we have the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. This is what we call a pop-up banner stand. It's a stretch fabric. We have 2 walls here. They're printed on both sides. So in like literally 10 seconds, we can flip all 3 of these pieces and we have a whole nother set behind us.
Absolutely.
And then you go to trade shows and you see from small pop-up banner stands to a really big booths, if you will. Talk to me a little bit about those types of material and those types of tactics.
Absolutely. And first, I'm going to point out, if you can see this, again, simplistic.
Right.
It gets your message across. This is one of the newest materials that's easy to pack up. It takes seconds to set up.
One person can set it up.
One person can set it up. One person can carry it in. And guys, don't be the guy who walks in with a card table, because listen, if I feel like you're cutting corners on your own image, what are you going to cut corners for in your service, in your tactic, and everything else?
I don't mean to interrupt you, because I want to come right back to this, Tonya. But both of you guys have said something about that, about if you're cutting corners with your own brand. Yeah, I had someone say to me years ago, and I loved it. I should have been the one saying it to them. I have said it now. I've procured it, and so now I say it all the time. But people don't want you asking them to invest in your business when it's obvious that you're not investing in your business.
100%.
I mean, think about how true that statement is. So people, you want them to do business with you, but yet you don't even put your brand on your shirt. You have a card table for your trade show booth. You have a vehicle wrap with just one word on it. Or, I mean, if you want people to invest in your business, you have to make sure that they understand it's a legitimate, good operating business, that you've put every bit that you can put into your business, and you want to make it good. That's a good point, because both of you guys have said that, and I just wanted to come back and hammer that. Now, how do you decide between two banner stands or two wall stands and a banner stand as your trade show booth versus a $30,000 or $40,000 trade show booth? How do you go about making those decisions?
Well, the first thing we're going to tackle is, what is your purpose? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to land jobs? Are you trying to educate them? We're going to find things. And then the next one is going to be your budget. Let's face it. We have to know what we're working with financially.
Yeah. And then who's your competition? What type of show you're going to? And all that plays into those types of decisions.
100%.
Your target market, like what's their budget, right? If you're selling a product that's starts at $100,000 and you got a $2,000 trade show booth, I mean, that's pretty hard to grasp.
Absolutely.
And it happens all the time.
And another thing to figure in, along with that booth, you have to make sure that you have the budget for the giveaway items.
That's a good point.
Again, it's the whole strategy. What's your strategy? What's your message? And what's your budget? And
just like I did off script a little while ago, and I put a little digital component of the strategy into the direct mail campaign, I'm going to do the same with the trade show booth thing. You go to a trade show and let's say that you meet with Tonya or Bailey and you have your trade show booth strategy down. Like, you have a great booth, right? And you have great giveaways and you have a great logo and you have everything you need. To make sure that you get the best impact is if you then geofence that area and you do some paid social ads and some paid search ads and maybe some banner ads, things of that nature. And then you make sure that whether they're looking at their phone or they're going to a different section of the trade show or home show or whatever, they see your ads and you're at the show and they're like, oh, you know what? I saw them over in that other building. So now all of a sudden, you're making the best impact and the best visual that you possibly can make. I love that. I like pairing the digital component to the physical component because it makes the best cohesive overall campaign. Now, I know that that this is really, really new. I do want to just kind of throw that in there. But you also have things like AI. You have some artificial intelligence that you can do with your trade show booths. You'll have a ton of video, like, do you want a TV screen? Do you want, that type of stuff? We've done some really cool booths that ranging into the six figures, and people are out there going, I'm not spending that much on our booth, but understand, this isn't like you just use it for one show. It's an investment in your future. You're using it over and over and over and over, right? And then you want to make sure that the material you get is durable enough to be put up and packed up and put up and packed up and stored and shipped in sometimes because not everything goes locally, right? Sometimes you have to throw it on a carrier or an airplane or something of that nature. So I know a lot going on with trade shows. The most important, though, is to make sure that your brand is ready to go. You have apparel on the whole time. You have products that you can hand out. Right? What am I missing with any of that? And I'm gonna interject something that I can't sell you. Make sure the right person is in the booth. There is nothing worse than walking up and somebody that won't even stand up to greet you. So again, this is an investment in your future. Make sure your message is being read and heard. Be friendly. Make them feel welcome when they walk up. I agree. Bailey, anything I missed on your side?
I'm just going to touch on some of the physical parts of these trade show booths. I think I went and put let's see, I went to the SC Green event, which is a landscaping event here in Columbia.
Yeah, a lot of people, multiple
about-
thousands of people walking through that.
Right, back in January. And I actually had a few customers there who needed some help with setting up these displays. And I put up 10 booths in a matter of an hour and a half. There's actual some piping that goes around these. It's the frame of it, and they're just numbered. So literally, you just put 1 to 1 and click them together, and it's as easy as that. And I did that all by myself.
Nice.
Pretty much. Maybe I think I had one other person helping me, but and also these sheets are also, you can just throw them in the machine wash, so you can wash them easily, just like every other thing in your washing machine.
So not only do you sell the products, look at the service that we give, right? We go out and actually help people do it. And then you put the electronic components in. I know that some of our video crew was out helping at some other home shows or trade shows, helping some of our clients get their AV going properly. Hey, check these guys out. Tonya, Conway, and Bailey White. We also have Ann Fink. We also have Manning. We have Gwen. We have Erica, all over at brandbuzzswag.com. Again, that's brandbuzzswag.com. Anything that you need, vehicle wrap designs, promo, branding, promo items, apparel, anything unique, these guys can produce it. And also go to thebrainstormradio.com, subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks for listening to us here on The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.